Summary of We Are All Completely Beside Ourselves by Karen Joy Fowler. Rosemary says that she is going to skip the beginning of her story and start in the middle, taking her to the winter of 1996. She hasn't seen her brother Lowell in 10 years and hasn't seen her sister Fern in 17 years. She is 22 years old and in her 5th year of college at UC Davis. She is having lunch one day in the cafeteria when she sees Harlow and her boyfriend, Reg, getting into a fight. Reg yells at Harlow and throws a chair at her. She calls him a psycho bitch. Officer Haddock and some other college police officers show up and mistakenly go up to Rosemary because they think she was in the fight. Rosemary throws her food and milk glass to the ground, and she and Harlow are both brought to jail. The girls are locked up in a cell at the county jail. Reg comes to get Harlow, so Rosemary has to call her dad. Her dad talks Officer Haddock into dropping all the charges against Rosemary if she promises to come home for Thanksgiving. Since Rosemary's family lives in Indiana, they don't talk about her arrest or anything else that might be controversial during the holidays. Over Thanksgiving, they spend time with Rosemary's Aunt Vivi, Uncle Bob, and cousins Peter and Janice. While Rosemary's mother is alive, her family doesn't like her father, who is a psychologist and professor. Rosemary is getting ready to go back to California when her mother tells her that she was going to give her journals to a library but has changed her mind and will now give them to Rosemary instead. The airline loses Rosemary's suitcase with the notebooks in it on the way back to California. Rosemary is shocked to find Harlow in her apartment when she gets home. Harlow says Reg threw her out, but she was able to get Ezra Metzger, Rosemary's building manager, to let her back in. Rosemary says she wants Harlow to make up for it by taking her out for a drink. In the bar, Rosemary tells Harlow about a time when she was shipped off to live with her grandfather and grandmother on her dad's side. In the end, Rosemary ran away and tried to walk all the way back to Bloomington to live with her parents. After a few days, Ezra gives Rosemary her bag back, which the airline returned while she was away. He also tells her that her brother Travers came by and was looking for her. Rosemary finds it hard to believe that Lowell found her, but the fact that he wouldn't have used his real name makes her believe it. She figures out that the bag the plane gave back is not really hers. It's 1979 again when the story starts. Rosemary, who is 5 years old, was just picked up from Grandma Frederica's house after trying to get away. She is taken to a house she doesn't know and is shocked to find that a family member has been given away. Lowell is mad at their parents for giving Fern away, but Rosemary is scared and even glad that she wasn't the one who was given away. She loses it and can't eat, talk, or leave her room after Fern goes missing. Rosemary's mother is also missing. Melissa, a college student, watches Rosemary while Lowell and their friend Russell Tupman go out. Rosamund agrees to help Lowell and Russell break into their old house, so they drive there. Rosemary thinks the house is sad and angry because it is empty. This is when Rosemary tells us that her imaginary friend Mary and her sister Fern are both chimpanzees. She didn't tell the reader this until now because she wanted them to believe Fern was really her sister. Rosemary remembers the games she and Fern used to play together. Graduate students would give them games and watch them play to see how good they were. Rosemary's mother gets better after having a mental breakdown, and for Christmas, the family takes a trip to Hawaii. Fern has moved in with a new family on a farm, Rosemary's dad tells her. Rosemary's school classmates start to make fun of her by calling her Monkey Girl. On the other hand, Lowell sees Ms. Delancey, a counselor, to help him deal with his sadness over Fern's death. In high school, Lowell is put in charge of the point guard position, but Rosemary finds him at home when he should be at practice. Lowell leaves home that night and doesn't come back. He frees all the lab rats from his dad's university lab on the way. Later, the FBI comes to the Cook's house and tells them that Lowell is a suspect in a fire at UC Davis that damaged a veterinary laboratory. The damage was worth millions of dollars. Rosemary is riding her bike in Bloomington one day when she meets Kitch Chalmers, who used to date Lowell in high school. It turns out that Kitch and she met a graduate student who used to work with Rosemary and Fern on the day Lowell missed basketball practice. She told the class that Fern had been sent to live with a bunch of chimpanzees at a lab in South Dakota, where she was treated badly by a mean professor. "That's my sister in that cage," Lowell screamed in shock. Rosemary's roommate in her first year of college is named Larkin Rhodes, but she demands that everyone call her Scully. When Rosemary tries to make friends with Scully and the other students, she misses social cues and is kicked out of their group. She moves in with an art history major named Todd Donnelly in her second year. In 1996, Rosemary figures out that she likes Harlow because she is monkey girlish. Rosemary is still shocked that Ezra mentioned Lowell's appearance, so she looks into the Animal Liberation Front, an extreme animal rights group she thinks Lowell has been working with during his years away. Harlow talks Rosemary into opening the bag that the airline gave her by mistake. Inside, they find a ventriloquist's dummy that Rosemary calls Madame Defarge. Rosemary is listening to a teacher talk about a class called Religion and Violence. Dr. Sosa, the professor, says that chimpanzees do violent things with other chimpanzees, just like people do. When he starts talking about chimpanzee rape, Rosemary has a panic attack. Following the talk, Rosemary meets Harlow at a restaurant with the plan to get drunk. Reg and Madame Defarge are also there. When Harlow gives Rosemary some pills, she starts to think and act in a very strange way very quickly. Things are going crazy all night, and all of a sudden, Rosemary runs into Lowell. But right then, Officer Haddock arrests Rosemary again and puts her in a cell with Harlow. People say that Rosemary talks all night, but Rosemary doesn't know this and can't stop herself. She finds out that she has lost both Madame Defarge and her bike after she is freed. The next day, Rosemary leaves the flat. When she comes back, Todd and his girlfriend Kimmy tell her that while she was gone, someone came to get Madame Defarge, Harlow, and then Rosemary's brother Travers. Harlow and Lowell went out to dinner together, and Harlow asked Todd to get Rosemary to join them. Harlow and Lowell are there when Rosemary gets to the restaurant on foot. She is mad that Harlow is paying attention to Lowell instead of her. In the evening, Lowell goes to Rosemary's room, wakes her up, and takes her to a diner. All night long, they talk there. Lowell talks about how he is working to stop animal abuse. He tells Rosemary horrible stories about animals in pain and says he tried many times to get Fern out of the South Dakota lab where she was being held. However, since he is now running from the FBI, he can't keep trying, so he tells Rosemary to take care of Fern. Rosemary wants Lowell to stay longer as she walks him to the train station. After they say goodbye, Rosemary goes home. She falls asleep with Madame Defarge around her neck. A few days later, she writes about animal abuse in her religion and violence exam, and Dr. Sosa tells her she needs to answer the question. Harlow fell in love with Lowell in the one day they spent together, and she is very sad now that he is gone. This makes Rosemary mad, so she tries to stay away from Harlow. Rosemary is getting ready to go home for the Christmas break when the cops show up at her door and question her. They ask her if she is Lowell's sister, but she won't say anything else until a lawyer shows up. The questioning ends quickly, and Kimmy, Todd, and Todd's mother, who is a well-known civil rights lawyer, are waiting to pick up Rosemary. What they say is that Ezra was arrested for breaking into the UC Davis Primate Center to try to free the monkeys. People have named Harlow as his partner, but she has been able to get away. The next time Rosemary gets home, Madame Defarge is not there. Rosemary spends Christmas with her family and finally tells them about her meeting with Lowell. The family finally talks about Fern's absence, and Rosemary's parents tell her that a lot of what she thinks she knows about that time isn't true. Rosemary shouldn't blame herself for Fern's absence, they say. In fact, they had to give Fern up because she was getting too dangerous to keep in the house as she got older. Ezra gets a pretty light sentence of 8 months in a minimum security jail with the help of Todd's mother. She is still running away. Rosemary and Reg start going out together, but after 5 months they break up. After several heart problems, Rosemary's father dies in 1998. He was 58 years old. At the same time, Rosemary and her mother are getting her mother's diaries ready to be published. They are living together in Vermilion, South Dakota, in 2012. They live close to the lab where Fern and her daughter Hazel are being held. Rosemary works as a kindergarten teacher, and her mom helps out at Fern's lab. The book based on Rosemary's mom's writings is almost ready to come out. Lowell was finally caught while he was planning an attack on SeaWorld Orlando, which is why Rosemary's agent called to tell her that she had gotten a lot of requests for interviews. Harlow is still on the run. She says that she wrote the book for Lowell, which is what the reader is holding. She tells what happened when she and Fern saw each other again for the first time in South Dakota to end the story. She signed her name and Fern's name, and Fern pressed her hand and then her face against the glass that stood between them. Rosemary could not understand Fern's thoughts, but she thought it was like looking at herself in the mirror.
About the author. Karen Joy Fowler was born in Bloomington, Indiana. She moved to Palo Alto, California, at the age of 11. She went to the University of California, Berkeley, to study political science and then got her master's degree. While she was there, she got pregnant with her first kid. After a few years, Fowler took a creative writing class at UC Davis and started putting out science fiction stories. Sarah Canary, her first book, came out in 1991. Critics liked how the book mixed elements of science fiction, historical fiction, and popular fiction. Fowler went on to write more books, the most current of which is We Are All Completely Beside Ourselves. One of Fowler's books, The Jane Austen Book Club, was turned into a Hollywood movie, and she has said that some of her books have done very, very badly, both with critics and readers. Fowler lives in Santa Cruz, California, with her husband.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.